If you like this video even 1%, smash like button. At the first we can see a little boy and his father at a meat shop. They returns their home. The boy is shown smuggling heads and bodies of various animals home and preserving them in jars under his bed. Upon discovering this, his father beats him. When he grows up, he kills his father and buried him there near house. Then the whole scene shifts to the present. One day a little girl lost from dance school. Later she found dead near field drain side. All people shocked after see this. In the present, the abduction and murder of two little girls of Trivandrum in succession, with no apparent motive, makes investigation officer ACP Rithika Xavier suspect a serial killer. She requests a forensic team, but finds it awkward that the personnel assigned is the young Samuel John, who happens to be the younger brother of her estranged husband Xavier John. Rithika Xavier separated because of their carelessness few years ago. They lost their second child from fair, and also that the surviving child Nayana consults a psychologist Dr. Alphonse Kurian. Samuel concludes the killer seems able to move comfortably through a 4-foot tunnel, but unable to dispose the body over a 5-foot wall, and able to blend inconspicuously in a compound of children, hence it must be a child. Though dismissive at first, Rithika Xavier is forced to accept Samuel's theory as an eyewitness shortly confirms a little boy dumping the dead body, though she does so in grace. Further victims are added to the list, even as the police publish a sketch of the killer child as described by the witness. Dr. Alphonse Kurian states the boy in the sketch seems to be juvenile home inmate Ruben Elias, whom he counseled a few years back. After that she goes to clinical therapist Dr. Jayakumar Menon, who handled Ruben's case, confirms that Ruben indeed demonstrated murderous psychopathic behavior and escaped from him recently. Meanwhile, retired SP Abdul Wahab volunteers a test DNA for matching, which brings up a forgotten serial murder case from 10 years back, which also happens to be the first case in the career of Rithika Xavier Ips. He also reveals that, on retirement, he took the U-8 as his driver, who was arrested of 3 little girls' Burma colony murder in succession, and the body of another discovered from a school bus. The police arrest the bus driver U-8 Ahmed, but he proven innocent because other victim is kidnapped and murdered in the same manner while he is in custody. Another victim is snatched from the hospital by Ruben under the very nose of the team, mounting pressure on them. Samuel correctly double-guesses a clever ruse in the form of a candy bar dropped in a dustbin in front of the hospital, but the DNA prints not matched. He concludes that there is a second personality behind the child killer, probably a mastermind. Due to the intern Shika's insight, it is discovered that this DNA matches perfectly with that of the Burma colony murderer 10 years earlier, proving not only a 10 to 12-year-old child is involved. Ruben is shown to deliver the victims to an abandoned truck deep inside a forest. Their corpses are removed from the truck by none other than Nayana, Rithika's daughter. Suddenly the unexpected match found. Samuel teams up with Samuel assistant Shikit and Abdul Wahab to research the area where the 3 buried Burma colony victims were found. Searching the place with ground-penetrating radars, they find 5 skeletons, 1 adult and 4 children buried. Samuel decides to search every one of the hundreds of medical and police personnel present at the hospital during the last abduction. Samuel is baffled to find that not a single DNA from the collection matches the one on the candy wrapper. Rithika captures him from a church. Ruben taken as a confession by Rithika and team. Samuel, however, observes from the footage of the inquest that Ruben was in fact responding to instructions from his hearing aid, probably from the mastermind. By the time he arrives at the station, Ruben has killed himself per transmitted instructions. Later Samuel found the hearing aid device from Ruben's dead body. Samuel is informed by Shika that a blue Honda City car could be seen near the station premises in the footage around Ruaban's suicide. Noticing the exact model right outside his gate, Samuel proceeds to peek, only to be surprised by Ubaid Ahmed, who knocks him out and abducts him. The foolhardy team is knocked to action by yet another kidnapping, this time of none other than the daughter of a member of the team. Then the team proceeds to track the GPS of the victim's mobile phone. Meanwhile, a psychotic Ubaid taunts a bound Samuel with shocking details. He starts with video footage of none other than Nayana delivering the murdered victims out of the truck. Ubaid reveals that the whole saga was planned to frame Rithika's daughter as a serial killer as revenge for ruining his life in the Burma colony case. He said other child of the Xavier couple, Navya, is alive, supported by a video showing a disheveled Navya confined in a basement. Though Samuel wriggles himself out and subdues Ubaid, he is able to extract no further information about the mastermind before Ubaid is unexpectedly shot dead by somebody in the blue Honda Civic. Samuel take up a yellow omnivan, only to end up in front of the police and discover the omnivan contains the body of the latest victim. But he escaped. Samuel flees, but is supported by his brother Xavier, Shika and Abdul Wahab. They arrange for a meeting with Rithika, who is forced to accept the facts, confronted with the evidence on Ubaid's mobile phone. Rithika and Xavier go to the location to search for Navya. While Samuel asks Dr. Alphonse Kourian to join him for a ride discuss the case, during which Samuel reveals to him that he knows Dr. Alphonse Kourian is the mastermind behind the killing. Then Dr. Alphonse reveals the truth. He was leading a normal life thanks to his wife, and even after her death he lived for his son, but his life came crashing down after he was diagnosed with blood cancer. He then loses control of himself when he drops off his son's friend in the Burma colony and then proceeds to take out his frustration of his medical condition by killing the kids in that colony. When Rithika arrives to search the colony, he transfers his next victim from his car to a school bus he sees parked near the road, which was accidentally witnessed by his son who was in the car with him. Later that evening on the news they revealed that Ubaid Ahmed was arrested because of the child found in the school bus. Dr. Alphonse Kourian's son sees the news and realizes that his father is the killer. Then his son goes for check a room that his father keeps locked, realizes that it was the room in which he killed his victims. Dr. Alphonse tries to explain everything to his son who tries to get away from him and accidentally falls off the terrace and dies. He buries his son's body and kills one more child just to prove to the police that Ubaid isn't the real killer. He later on decides to take revenge on Rithika by kidnapping her daughter and raises her in captivity. He then meets Ruaban Elias and plans to use him and Navya in his master plan. He tells Samuel that has no proof connecting the killings to him and that he had tested his blood and it wasn't a match. Samuel tells Shika that Dr. Alphonse Kourian has 2 sets of DNA because of his bone marrow transplant, but his skin and hair cells will have his old DNA, which is enough proof to tie his to the case. Rithika and Xavier found Navya. Shocked, Kourian wrestles and tries to attack Samuel, which leads to an accident, and Kourian is thrown out and dies, while Samuel protected by the airbags. A few days later Rithika applies for a 2-month leave to spend with her family, before which she is handed a new case file form, for which she requests the same forensic team. She calls Shika, who informs her that Samuel is in an inquiry on that accident. In the inquiry, Samuel tells the police exactly what happens as seen earlier. Later on it is revealed that during the fight in the car, then Samuel managed to unbuckle Dr. Alphonse Kourian's seat belt, which caused him to be thrown out of the car. Thanks for watching video.